At that point, we knew she was in a cult. All of the dancers that are currently in, all of the members that are still in, they are all victims. At some point, we'll know that we've done all of this because we love her unconditionally and we'll do anything for her. And I know she'll know that at some point.
Big news to talk about first. You're coming off of a honeymoon, yeah?
That is true. Yep. Just got married. Very excited.
Congratulations, congratulations. How are you feeling just in general? Obviously, so much to celebrate, but also a lot of painful memories and conversations that are being had right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a interesting time because I have one of the best things that happened to me, and then the documentary coming out, which just it kind of just brings up some old feelings. But all in all, I'm so proud of the project, and there's so much positivity that has already come of it, and educating people and spreading awareness. And so I am very grateful for that.
I'm glad to hear that. Before we get into what's happened in recent years, particularly between you and your sister and to your sister, let's talk about the beginning. Take me back to those early years with Miranda. What was your relationship like when you were children? When maybe did even your love for dance begin?
Absolutely. So my sister and I are 2 years apart, and she was the best older sister. Like, she would do something, I wanted to do it. So she was in dance at like 2 years old. So then when I turned two, I was like, okay, well, I wanted to start dancing. And so then as we got older, we were in the same groups together. And we would always say we were twins that were 2 years apart. Like, we did everything together, finished each other's sentences, just had all the same friends, loved the same things. And so then Miranda moved to California to pursue dance. And a year went by, and it was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I have to come out there too so that we can keep, we were known as the Wilkings sisters. And so I was like, we got to keep the sisters together. So
Mhm.
I came out, and it was truly just such a special bond that now, going through what we went through, it was truly something that I will always cherish. And I have hope that we can get back to that. We're just in a bit of a difficult place right now.
And speaking of that difficult place, when did you first notice that things were beginning to change?
End of 2020, my sister had gone back to California. We were in Michigan at the time to visit her now husband, James, or B Dash. And at that time, he had been hanging out quite a bit with his videographer, Isaiah Shin, who we now know is Robert Shin, the pastor of the church's son. And so when my sister went back, I would talk to her, every day, just catching up. What were you up to? And she was always with the Shins and with that group. And so that was just a little interesting because it was, kind of like, you aren't doing anything else. What's going on? You're with these people every single day. And then when she came back, it was somewhat of a shift, and she would, be on the phone late at night. And later we would find out that she was attending services via Zoom. And so then when we went back to California is when it really picked up, and the distance started.
I want to show you a clip from around the time that your sister was really starting to have some sort of outward facing success. She was on these shows, and she was actually on one of our shows. I want to play this for you and then get your reaction, knowing what you know now. Obviously, from the outside looking in, things are looking great. She's two-stepping with Mario Lopez. They're on this press tour, but it wasn't long after this aired that you and your parents actually went live in what is now a very sort of infamous stream or live stream, talking about your concerns for your sister. Looking at that clip, seeing what seems like a very joyful, happy, innocent moment, how does it make you feel knowing what was happening behind the scenes and what you were feeling behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation because, of course, I'm happy for my sister. She has these opportunities coming to her, and it's incredible seeing those things. But at that time, knowing what I knew, and now knowing what I know as well, it was difficult because I'm seeing this platform that they're given, and they're these, TikTok dance celebrities. And in my head, I'm thinking, they're going to target other young people, other young talented people, and they're going to be sucked into this as well, because look at the success they're getting, look at the jobs they're booking. And so it's really a hard situation to navigate, because here I'm so happy that my sister is getting these opportunities, but I know at the end of the day, she doesn't have control of, everyday life. And there's someone that is controlling everything, and all of that success and money and fame is really given to the pastor of this church, Robert Shin. It's like they're his puppets. And so that's why we chose to speak out, is because we didn't want this to happen to other people.
And walk me through the process of that day, deciding to go live. Were you nervous? Were you afraid this would push your sister away? Did you have hopes that it would maybe bring her closer? What was the thought process?
I can't even watch the video because it's so chaotic, and it's moments before it was like, are we doing this? Are we not doing this? Okay, let's do it. And that's why I'm like, I can't even watch, because it's chaotic. But I think it truly showed the raw emotions that we were going through. We didn't know what to do. It was a cry for help, and what we felt was our last resort. We had tried to resolve the issue privately for over a year, and that did not work at all. And so we were really just trying to reach for any sort of resource or help. And once we went live, we actually did hear from Miranda. So I think us speaking out has created a positive change. And so I wouldn't do it any different.
Were you surprised by the response or how viral the video ended up going?
Most definitely. I did not expect that at all. And especially at that time, it was really hard because there were two sides to it, where people are, the people that knew us obviously knew what we were going through and know us as a family, and know that we lost contact with my sister. But then you have another side of people saying, well, this is just an isolated family incident. And that was hard to see, but that's why I'm so thankful now that the documentary is out, and you see that it goes so much deeper than just an isolated family incident.
Absolutely, it really does. And, in the aftermath of the video, of more attention on Shekinah and 7M, this documentary now, especially, dancers began to leave. Dancers have continued to leave. Walk me through the potentially roller coaster of emotions you may have felt, your family may have felt, sort of realizing people are getting out, and yet hoping that Miranda would be one, and realizing each time that she was not.
That was very difficult, because of course, us sharing our story, we wanted to get my sister out. It's my sister. That's who at the end of the day we're fighting for. But to see so many other dancers and members leave was incredible. It made it all worth it. Because of course I want my sister to come out, and I know that she will at some point in time, but if anyone leaves, that's a win for us.
Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with your sister now, because from what I understand, it does look as if there's some sort of relationship you've been able to maintain, right?
Yes, yeah. We talk here and there. Once the documentary released, I did reach out, but I haven't heard anything back. I know on both sides emotions are high. It's definitely a difficult time, so I didn't expect a respond. But for a while we were around each other more, which was nice. But what we reference in the documentary is we kind of just pretend like nothing ever happened, and we never bring anything up, which has been very difficult for me. I'm not gonna lie. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that from here forward, we can actually work towards building our relationship back.
Yeah. And you mentioned that it has been difficult, which I can only imagine it would be, to have your heart breaking and having to sort of table that just to keep the person that you love as close as you can have them. In the docu-series, we see your family struggling with having to pretend that everything is fine to be close to Miranda. So I'm curious to know, what was the catalyst for you to do the docu-series? If you were afraid or nervous that it might push her further away.
It was definitely a risk, but I think when we went live, then finally something happened. It was, finally the word was out. We heard from Miranda, dancers are leaving. So when we got approached for the documentary, we were very hesitant because at that point we had heard from my sister. So it was just a very delicate situation. But at the end of the day, we knew that we needed to educate more people and spread the word so that Robert can't do this to more people. And when we did go live, then we found out so much more information, like how he's been doing this for over 25 years.
Right. Yeah.
And that was just crazy to us. And so we felt that, if we can help in any way, we will.
Yeah. And you absolutely have so many people coming forward with their stories, so many people feeling more comfortable or emboldened to leave, to get out. Fast forward to just a couple of weeks ago, you got married, your sister was there. So Miranda did attend. How was that? How was everything?
I'm very glad that she came. And of course, it was my wedding. So I was kind of pulled in a bunch of different
A
directions
little
and
busy. Yeah.
just a little. And, unfortunately, wasn't able to spend much time with her, really anyone for that matter. It's pretty quick, but the brief interactions I did have, they were all very positive. And I'm very glad her and James decided to come because then we'll have that memory together.
And that's something that you talked about in the docu-series, right? Always dreaming of having your sister by your side for such a special day.
That was definitely a battle, but
Mm.
I'm very glad with the decision I made to invite them and them willing to be there was beautiful.
And when it comes to the docu-series, from what I understand, you discussed or maybe asked for her to be a part of it or asked if she was open to being a part of it?
My parents asked her and her and James both did decline. And that was another main reason why we decided to do the documentary, as well as we wanted to make sure that we were a voice for Miranda and she wasn't spun as, a crazy, naive girl. Like, no, she is a victim. They're all victims. And we wanted to make sure that was very clear.
Miranda posted and sort of acknowledged the docu-series and shared her perspective. There are a couple of things that we just want to go over in that. She's claimed that, it was one-sided with the production of the documentary, but it sounds like that's not necessarily the case, right?
They were reached out to many times and declined every time.
Mm-hmm. And she said that you and your family were not supportive when she dedicated her life back to God in 2020. Do you feel like that's true? What do you feel about kind of the things that she's said?
At that point, we knew she was in a cult.
Mm.
So, of course, we are going to have our guard up. And I was telling her all of the things. I mean, I went to 2 of their private dinners and 2 of the services that you have to be invited to. And I was invited to those. And I picked up on all of these red flags. And so when she's saying that we weren't supportive, it was because I was seeing what she wasn't seeing. I was seeing all those red flags. I was seeing that they wanted to, because I wasn't going anymore, they wanted to rip us apart and all those things. It was like, no, that's not going to happen. And sure enough, look where we are. So of course, if she was, wanting to further her spiritual journey in a way that wasn't with someone like Robert Shin, that would be fantastic. But we knew the situation and we're trying to avoid all of this.
Right. Now, Miranda said that you locked her out of the Wilkings sisters Instagram account and that's the reason that she started her own solo account. What's your response to that?
Taking us back to that day, that was the day that she refused to get on the plane to go to my grandfather's funeral. And we reference this in the documentary. She claims it was COVID, but then admitted to me that it had nothing to do with her being sick and she just couldn't go because she had to ask someone that was closer to God to come home.
Yeah.
And so that day I got on the plane and, I'm with my parents. They picked me up from the airport. We're all freaking out and we couldn't get a hold of her. Then I'm getting messages back from her that were obviously not written by her. I mean, I know my sister, and I know words were used that she would never use, grammar, just things. I'm like, I know my
Wasn't
sister,
her.
it wasn't her. And so then I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, we've spent years for our career, and I don't know who has her phone because this is not Miranda messaging me.
Mhm.
So I went into our accounts and I realized that our TikTok was under my phone number. So I was able to change our password. And so I did that to protect us. And I messaged her saying, you know, because she said that I locked her out. And I said, well, when I hear your voice and we can meet up and talk about what's happening, I will gladly give you the login. I just don't know who I'm talking to right now.
Mm.
And I didn't hear her voice for over a year. So when she says that, it's just like, there's most definitely more to the story than just me logging her out of a TikTok account. I was trying to protect our years of hard work because I knew that they were going to end up locking me out. And then
Yeah.
you know, so it was a very difficult situation.
You mentioned your papa's funeral. She said that she didn't go back because she felt harassed and threatened by you and your family. I'm just curious to know, one, what was your reaction to that? But also, how does that feel when you clearly love your sister and it is very obvious that your family just wants her well and safe? How do you feel?
It's hurtful to hear that, but at the end of the day, I know that who's talking right now, who's giving statements right now, that's not the sister I know.
Mhm.
And I know that she's been under this influence for over 3 years now. And so I try to set that aside and know that it's not really her. And she at some point will know that we've done all of this because we love her unconditionally and will do anything for her. And I know she'll know that at some point.
When is the last time that you spoke to Miranda? That you know you spoke to Miranda?
At the wedding,
Was the
I,
wedding? Okay.
yep,
Yeah. Okay.
just saying hello, but
Mm. And your
that's it.
parents, how are they doing in all of this?
They are holding up okay, but this whole situation has affected them tremendously, and it's so sad to see what they're going through and for them to doubt themselves as parents for what we're going through. And so it's been brutal, but I think with the documentary coming out, there's more hope, and they have never lost hope. That is one thing. They have always tried to keep their spirits up and have not given up. And when I say that every single day since all of this happened, my parents have tried to come up with some way, something new we could try, some other way to connect with her. They have every single day. So I think that just shows that they're incredible parents. And yeah, I love them dearly. They're the best.
7M made a statement recently also denying everything. A lot of allegations headed their way. Any response to their denial?
The documentary speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Anyone who watches it, they know. And yeah, it just shows that they didn't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think the truth is in the documentary.
If you could talk about maybe some of the good that's come out of this. You talk about the dancers who have gotten out, the dancers who have reconnected with their family, their friends, their loved ones, the outpouring of support for you, for your family. What has that been like to feel people really rally around you and empathize with what you're going through?
It's been incredible. And I think my favorite messages that I've gotten are parents who have reached out saying they watched it with their kids and they're sharing, you know, these red flags that you may see, or, you know, just educating them about these high controlled environments because they're so much more common than you would think. And I've witnessed that firsthand, and with going live initially, how many people reached out saying they were in a similar situation was insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the spreading awareness and education is just something that I'm truly so overwhelmed and just so grateful that we were able to share this, and that so much good has come from it. It was, it still is a traumatic and awful experience, but good has come from it. People have left. They're living their lives as they should, reconnecting with family. It's so beautiful. And yeah, I'm just very grateful for that.
What do you hope people understand or want people to know about you and your family? And then also about Miranda, about who your sister really is?
Just to know that we are people who truly value family. Family is number one. And I think that's very obvious with the actions we have taken. And we were motivated and dedicated to continue to fight for our family. And it would have been so easy just to give up, but that's not who we are. We're going to keep going. And I think to know that Miranda she was my favorite person. Before all of this, I looked up to her. She was the person I would go to for absolutely anything. And she was just such a kind-hearted person. And I think that's honestly one of the reasons why this group preyed on her, is because she was such a people pleaser, wanted to do good for the world, wanted nothing but the best for her family. And so sadly, those qualities were taken advantage of. But I just, want people to know that she is truly such an amazing person.
If Miranda was watching this, what would you say to her? What message do you have for your sister?
I would want her to watch the documentary, because from the statement that, she put out, it is very obvious that she did not. And so I would want her to watch, because it is so much deeper than just our family. And just educate yourself and know that we absolutely love you with all of our heart.
And if other dancers from 7M and Shekinah are watching, what would you say to them?
All of the dancers that are currently in, all of the members that are still in, they are all victims. So there is no blame on anyone who's there. They are all victims. But I'm so glad the truth is coming to light, and Shekinah will not be in commission very much longer, because we are all taking action. We are staying strong, and we will not let Robert win.
And lastly, what is next for you? I mean, you just obviously had a very big life change. It's a very exciting time. What's next for you, Melanie?
Yeah, I'm a newly married woman living across the country, but
Right.
I'm still going to be dancing and sharing positivity all across my social channels. And yeah, that's what I love to do, is just spread happiness and make people smile. So that's what I'm going to continue to do.